Advertising best practices for brands, monetization, SEO. Welcome to the room. More importantly, welcome to being in a great space like this where you, as a business owner, can learn, grow, build, scale, and also acquire information that can help your business grow long term. And these are the reasons why I talk about things like this, where you come into a room, you come into an episode, and you're looking for information and you find it. You actually get what you came for, which feels great because that also achieves a goal that you want to see for yourself, because you don't want to keep looking for the same thing every time. You want to accomplish tasks, you want to accomplish missions, and the way to accomplish these things are by doing stuff, things like this. So I figured, you know what? I don't usually come out here at night and talk about these things, but I felt like, okay, it would be good to give you some insight so that if you have any questions, or if you listen to this and you wake up or you're listening to it right now, then I'm happy you're here. So I'm going to break this down really quickly. And I'm sure you've seen this before. If you haven't heard of this before, do your research, go online. We all know about these things. There's the 4 P's of marketing, or the 5 P's of marketing. There have been 7, they're different numbers. So you can check it out. You have to look at the price, think about the positioning, think about the place, these are things that you should know, right? And then as a business, you're like, okay, I know the 4 P's, I know the 5 P's, I'm able to put this together. You also have to think about the M's, right? There's advertising and there's marketing. So there's the marketing has the P's and the advertising has the M's, right? So it makes a lot of sense where the P's and the M's and the A's and the M's make sense. I'm actually thinking about it like this, and I'm like, that's weird. P's for marketing is PM, and then advertising, there's M. And that's more of, there are 5 M's that I'm going to break down. But when you think about the long term, you're like, there's PM, there's AM. So if you're advertising and you're marketing, how do you get these two to work together hand in hand? So that's a very interesting question that I feel like if you are able to answer for yourself, it can get you far. So when you think about marketing, right, you can do your research and get to see it on your own. But one of the major things to note is that there are 5 M's for advertising. When it comes to making sure you have a business, your business is connected to all the right places, and you're also doing it for the matter of creating connections. You're not just marketing because you have a product, or you have a brand, or you have a business. You're monetizing because you want to send a message, and that's one of the M's. You want to send a message that's going to resonate with the person that's going to see it at the time. If I send you something, if I give you the right message at the wrong time, then that's a wrong business plan, that's a wrong marketing move, that's a wrong advertising plan, because I don't need this jacket when I'm looking for a tank top. There has to be a disparity between the seasons, because when you're marketing within the seasons. So when you're also advertising, you have to think about advertising during the seasons too. So as a best practice for advertising, as a brand, if you have a brand, meaning that if your brand is being talked about, if it's being listened to, if it's being heard, if it's being utilized, if it's being thought about, if it's being actualized, if it's being normalized, that is a brand. So when your brand has that feeling of expression through somebody else outside of you or outside of your team, then that's an accomplishment, because now you're able to give somebody something that if it wasn't for your brand, they wouldn't be where they are, or they wouldn't be doing the things they're doing, because your brand is supposed to help solve a problem. That's why you're in business. So if you're not in business to solve a problem, then you shouldn't be in business at all, because the number one rule of business is to solve a problem. It's like a math equation. 1 + 1 is 2. You have to solve the equation to add up to the value that you expect. So you can't cookie cutter cross anything. You have to do things the right way. So as a business, the ABC of creating content is making sure that you have the right messaging. So here are the 5 M's to just break it down to you. So here we go. The 5 M's are media, measurement, message, mission, and definitely the 5th one that everyone loves, money. Before you get to the money, you gotta know what the message is. Before you get to the money, you gotta know what the measurement is. How do you measure what you don't know? If it's 6 centimeters, if it's 6 feet, if it's 6 inches, you have to know the measurement. If it's 6 ounces, you have to know. If it's 6 pounds, those are the measurements that's gonna change the way you're going to see these things, right? So when you're putting a metric next to a number, and this is not ABC, this is simple math. It shouldn't be too complex either, because when you think about the 101, right, you're looking at it from, I want to advertise and I need to have a vehicle to advertise my message. If I was back in the day, it would say, oh yeah, back in the day, this is what used to happen back in the day. You used to create content back in the day, and then you have to look for somebody to put it out there, or through a newspaper, or through a magazine, or through a message in a bottle. Those are things I used to do back in the day. In fact, I was actually looking at a post, which is actually very interesting to note. And I'll actually tell you guys about this. It was actually very, very fascinating. And I was like, how in the world are there different things that existed back then? And if you go to the wealth platform, you're going to see it there. Really interesting things, really, really interesting things to actually notice, right? And it made me think about, like, okay, how does this even play into today's world, right? I'll give you one of them. For example, I think I'll start off with, this is one of the oldest ones. So in 1689, actually, no, let me say it this way. This is the right date. Let me just give you the right correction of the numbers so you can go do your research. In 1698, in 1698, men had to pay to keep their beards. That's very interesting, right? And imagine advertising at that time in 1698 to people who needed to keep their beards, and they had to pay to keep their beards, which is very interesting to see. And that's one part of the world in a country that it happened. So you're like, this is very interesting. So when you think about back in the day, how things were and how things are right now, there's a disparity. There's a big shift. So now if you fast forward and you're bringing it to 2025, and you're thinking about a business and you're asking yourself, okay, how am I going to monetize? How am I going to build a brand? How am I going to have the best practice? Who is going to even find my content, right? Right now, a lot of people are sleeping, and I'm doing content, and you're listening to this music, you're listening to this background, you're listening to this message, and you're actually gaining something. Because when you wake up, when you listen to this, you're like, oh, okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that either. Now we both know it. So what are we going to do about it? Now we both have to make it happen. I don't want you to listen to this podcast and just sit back and enjoy it. Yes, please feel free to drive, be safe, enjoy it. If you're at the gym, if you're at the park, if you're at the airport, if you're at a restaurant, if you're enjoying it at a hotel, if you're just having a great time, please feel free to enjoy this podcast, because here's where you're able to really understand a few things and then get to know a lot of things in the process, because you don't know everything at once. But as you're learning these things, apply them and take time to apply them. Don't just apply them all at once, because it's going to get very busy, scanty, messy, and very demotivating. So you have to start off with the best practices, right? So if you're thinking about advertising best practices for brands with inclusion of monetization and SEO, then your goal is to start thinking about the kind of message that you want to send them. So we talked about the 5 M's, right? So if we're looking at media, right? Media, how are you going to supply it? And media is technically the red carpet. That's what I call it, because without the media, you can't do anything. You can't run an ad on Facebook, on TikTok, on LinkedIn, on Pinterest, on Instagram, name it, on a billboard, on TV. You can't run anything. You can't run an ad without media. It's impossible. Like, just tell me one platform that you can run a platform or run an ad without media. Show me one, and we can talk about it. Let's really have that talk, because I want us to have a conversation. It's going to be hard for you to find that, because even TV, radio, back in the day, newspapers, Walkman, disc, jockey, 8-track, vinyl, whatever you're going to put it into, it's a media file. So whether it's an MP3 or an MP4, whether it's an audio or video, whether it's a TXT, whether it's a JPEG, whatever file extension it is, that's exactly what you're going to be giving as a media file, as an upload, right? There's an upload and there's download. When you're using the internet, there's an upload speed and there's a download speed. When you upload podcasts, download podcasts, you have an upload speed and you have a download speed. When you hit play on an episode, there's something called time to first byte. So if it takes 5 seconds for the podcast to start, or it takes 0.5 seconds for the podcast to start, or 0.05 seconds for the podcast to start, that's because of the byte. And that's coming from your brand. That's coming from your business. That's coming from your server. That's coming from an upload stream. So when you start adding these dots together, you start realizing that it's not just a platform that you're advertising to. It's also something you have to think about long term as a business. How am I going to create content that is going to allow somebody to see my business long term? And in the future, they can also still understand how this plays back into their mission, into their vision, into their core values. Are they running advertisements to do brand awareness? Is it for lead generation? Is it for sales? What is the media going to say? What is the message going to be within the media? Because if you have a message, you're going to put it in a bottle. You're going to put that message as a caption, or you're going to put that message with AI, or you're going to put that message within a content field, whether it's a blog or a podcast or a video or whatever it could be. It's going to end up within a media setup. So if you're thinking about doing this the right way, right? If you're looking at media, how are you going to use this the best way? So if you're thinking about advertising, the best practice is choose your media type. Say, okay, Favour, I know my media type. What is it? Okay, my media type is podcasts, specifically audio. Okay, now if you want to do audio, then you're going to focus on that audio and grow that audio channel by creating podcast shows that are going to help your business grow. So by creating more topics that are going to center around your topics, the more you're able to be more specific with how you're able to advertise. Because a lot of people think that you can just advertise by just posting away. Great, you can post away, but guess what? The more you're posting without messaging or without the right setting, the less you're going to be seeing the results. And that's not a good thing, because you want to also think about your business long term when you're also thinking about the value of exchange that you're creating. So now if you have a media type, then that media type has to be an MP3, an MP4, an MOV, a PNG, a JPEG, whatever it's going to be, a WebP. Those are going to be file extensions that you're going to upload to advertise. So if you're advertising a video that's a UGC content, that's user-generated content or influencer marketed content, or it's going to be a video from you, a home video or a production shoot or a reel or something that you did, a montage or an AI clip, whatever it's going to be, it's going to show up online. And the moment you put it out there and it goes and people actually resonate with it, it's cool. I'll give you a live case study example, right? I want to just throw it back for you just a little bit. Right now, as I'm speaking to you, this is the 3rd week. So I'm about to launch an advertisement that is going to help business owners, entrepreneurs, creators, leaders, managers, operational staff to become better with their SEO, but now specifically using podcasts as the arm. Because when you now know how to use a podcast as a business, it's going to be that tool that's going to help you tweak your business, your brand, your mentions, and ultimately help you advertise faster and have a higher retainer model as opposed to just flimsily posting on a social media post trying to get attention from a cold audience. So it's going to have a much deeper and trusted source file that's going to get you closer to your ideal target. So I did a 40-second, 37-second ad clip and I recorded it. Once I recorded it, I now finished it, and then I now created another version of it. I actually did a couple of versions, and the one that I picked, I now made a different, insert. And I said, okay, you know what, with this insert, I'm going to create an ad. Now I went back into actually, let me say it this way. I used 2 platforms. One platform, I was able to use the recording, get everything into place, record the actual video that I want people to see. And talking about podcasts, letting you know how many podcasts are even out there. And then after you get to know what the podcasts that are out there, you now come back to understanding what to do. So now you listen to the podcast. So it's generally to build traffic and awareness. I'm not doing it for sales. I'm not doing it for sponsorships. I'm not doing it for traffic that will lead to sales. The goal is going to be traffic only. But if it does lead to sales, if it does lead to partnerships, then great. That achievement was a bonus. But the objective is it's going to be traffic so that people can get to see the brand, get to be aware, and they can do their own research. And then from the back end, they can decide to either subscribe or opt in or call or email. That's going to be up to you. But I'm happy that you're going to do that because you need to do your research in order to make those executive decisions. So I'm giving you the opportunity to make those decisions because I'm giving you options to choose from. So when I do that, I said, perfect, I'm going to run this out. So the first week I recorded it. I said, okay, it's good. Second week, I said, okay, let me put some spice into it. Let me make some edits. And then I tested it. So this is why I'm telling you this story now. I tested this organically. So, normally when people are running ads, you want to run ads, right? But if you run an ad, you're waiting to see the response from an ad. But imagine if you first of all posted it as an organic post. This is something that I'm giving you as a pro tip right now. If you post 24 hours or 48 hours before you post this as an ad and you post it organically, either it's a blog post or it's a video on YouTube or it's an email you're sending out or it's a podcast. For me, it's a video, and you post that video on your story and you post it out to your different platforms and you get reactions, that's going to be a good sign to tell you as a paid platform or as a paid ad what kind of reception you're going to get. So I was like, this is very exciting because it actually plays a big role into understanding, oh, this is how I'm going to create more content. Okay, bet. If I'm going to create more content like this, then I would need to know how people are actually feeling from the jump. And if they're able to feel connected to the source, then that makes me know that, okay, these people are also very connected back into the mix. So I figured, I was like, okay, if that's what's going to happen, then my goal is to make sure that if I got to see the feedback, then that feedback allows me to know how to place it to the next level. And I did the ad as an organic feed, right? posted it out as an organic post, and I got feedback. Some people loved it, some people commented, some people gave me feedback, and I was like, wow, I was actually thinking you guys may not like this, but you guys actually love this. So I said, okay, now that I've seen the reaction from my organic source, from my organic media, from my organic community, if I now run this as a paid community to people who don't even know me or yet to know me or going to be interested in knowing more about me and what we do and how we're able to help them achieve, including you, tasks, objectives, milestones that you can see and say that, okay, I wanted to start a podcast. I did. Now I have. Now I do something and I'm branding between now and the next 3 to 6 months. It's very possible. If you just have faith, you believe in it, you have hope, and you're very dedicated to the goal, you will definitely achieve it. And I want to help you to do that. You can go to wedon'tplaypodcast.com, or you can go to playinc.online, PLAYINC.online, or .ONLINE, and that's how you're able to start that. So when you think about it as a business, you have to think about the next step. So your goal is create content, right? And create this content in a way that's going to give you the most attraction. And how do you get the most attraction? By starting off by creating content that's going to help somebody grow. So now with this paid content, I can now run it out as an ad, and that's going to be a good way for you to see whether it's working or not. And then within your first 7 to 14 days, it's a good measurement to look at. So just think about your business long term and ask yourself, where would you want to be? How would you want to do this? And is this something that you actually want to achieve as a business? And if you do, great. If you don't, then wait. It's not hard. You just have to make the decision and know if that works best for you. So there are definitely a lot of things to consider as a business. And then when you start thinking about how to run these ads, you want to start thinking about creating content, right? I'm going to give you guys a very quick tool here. And if you're listening to this podcast, if you're listening to this section, this is going to be exciting for you to actually listen to. So here we go. When you look at your business and you ask yourself, okay, am I running the right ads? Am I doing this for the right reasons? There are platforms that you can use that can help you really see these numbers, right? There's a platform called wask.co. You can check that out. There's a platform that you can also see, which is called Lexi AI. You can use that too. So I've noticed when you start using these platforms and you start understanding the value, it starts to make more sense when you start actually advertising, and it's going to grow long term. That's why I'm doing this late night edition. Ragava, thanks for being here. H, thanks for being here. Hope you're well. I wanted to pop out of, and chill with a lot of you here. And it's a night that I felt like it would be good to, have rooms like this. I've not done a night room in a long time. So I felt like it would be nice to do it. And I know everybody's sleeping. So if you're up, if you're here, if you're listening, great. Can't speak at the moment. Definitely, I understand. Thanks for being here, H. I know it's super late. But I said, you know what? It's 11:55 Central PM. And I'm like, okay, it's 5 minutes to midnight. How can we create content that you can actually listen to for the next year or 2 or 3 or 4 or even decades from now? Because this is information that you can learn and grow. So I'm really excited that you're here, for those who are here late night with me, because when you use these platforms to advertise, it's going to help you. I just gave you the example of how I'm about to launch an ad, but before I launched the ad, I used it within a 2-week cycle. So the first week, as I mentioned earlier, just to give you a quick recap, in the first week, I recorded the 37-second video. In the second week, I edited the video because I wanted to really understand, why am I even going to run an ad? Because I don't run ads. I run ads for clients. We as a business, Work and Play Entertainment, We Don't Play Podcasts, We have sponsorships, we run ads, we help you maximize your potential to make sure that you're able to see how you can have asset acquisition and grow your business using digital marketing online, whether it's Pinterest or AI or web marketing. We're going to help you to do that and achieve that goal. Now, achieving that goal is one task. The other half of the task is to know, where are you really going with this content and who's even really going to see it? So that's what I had to do. I had to think about it. I said, who's going to see this content? Why are they going to see it? And where are they going to see it from? So I've been doing some research and I've just been understanding, okay, I post content out in the last 7 days. I'm not just trying to see who likes my post. I'm looking at my search data analytics. I'm looking at my Google Search Console. I'm seeing, okay, which city, which state, which zip code, which district, which county, which area, which source. Is it from ChatGPT? Is it from Perplexity? Is it from Google? Is it from Pinterest? Where are people searching from? Because everybody is searching everywhere. So it's like you're trying to catch a fish or a bucket of fish or a pool of fish, but you don't even know where to even pick up from because you don't know where people are swimming to or swimming from. So if you're able to really know where people can come to, just like with fish, you have to attract them to you for you to now catch a bait. Because if you go into the ocean and you just put it down, no one's going to catch anything. You're going to catch water for sure. You might not even catch the water because you have a net and the net doesn't have a holding. It can't hold the water because there are holes in it. They can hold fish because a fish is solid. A fish is a body that can be able to come out of the water body and create that experience for you to have it in weight, because that's a metric. So if you're looking at this from a very basic standpoint, right? This is something you already know. If you're going to advertise it, then you have to think about who is going to see it and how you're going to attract them to seeing you. So how are you going to attract the right people that actually want to be in that deep blue ocean strategy with you? You want to attract the right people. You don't want to attract people who are not going to be interested, because if they're not interested, they're not going to show up. They're not going to even commit. They're not going to buy. So now you're speaking to the wrong audience, but you have the right information. And that's a problem. So for you to fix that is to do the research. That's why I said there are 5 M's in advertising. There's media, there's measurement, there's message, there's mission, and there's money. You can check this out for yourself and see what you can Google it, go to Google Scholar, you can do your research, and check it out. You know about the 5 P's to marketing. The people say 4 P's marketing, 5 P's marketing, 7 P's marketing. At the end of the day, the goal is to market to the right person at the right time with the right information. And also with advertising, you're not advertising features, you're advertising benefits, because you don't have a long time to explain this benefit to this person. If you explain the feature and the benefit, you've lost them already from the first feature, because they can say, oh yeah, this is a sunroof. Okay, this sunroof can do the same thing. They don't care. They want to know, can they save money? Can they invest? What can they do that's going to make it different for them to actually connect with it? So it's up to you to decide how you're going to disseminate that information so that they don't feel like they're being sold to, they're being talked to. Literally, let me just tell you the context of this ad that I'm about to do tonight. This ad that I'm doing tonight, that is going to be going out, and you'll see it. And before I even begin, it's midnight. Happy birthday to my mom. Mom, I love you. Happy birthday. I'll call you later today. Just wanted to tap in July 23rd. It's her birthday, and I'm excited, and God bless you. Hope you have a wonderful time. And yeah, I'll see you in the morning. I'll catch up with you in the morning. It's different time zone, so it's very exciting to say that really quickly, because I looked at the time. So if you're looking at advertising, right? Oh, your dad is July 1st. Oh, happy birthday to your dad. Happy belated birthday to him. Yeah, July birthdays are always amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So you think about advertising and you ask yourself, okay, you're welcome, princess. So you ask yourself, okay, how do you connect the dots? How do you build? What are you able to say? How are you able to connect with these people? So when you think about advertising, I'm thinking, okay, media. You can't do anything online. You can't advertise without media. You have to go to Facebook and upload media. You have to go to TikTok, upload media. You have to go to Pinterest, upload media. So media is literally the how do I call this? It's the currency of your advertising. That's the currency exchange. your video, your audio, your text. That's how people are going to see you, your image. If those things are not compelling, they're not catchy, they're not hooking, it's not catching, it's not hooking anything, there's no hook and reel, there's nothing to feel. And that feeling is not even existent because nobody's expressing anything because nothing is available to even be felt. So it's a looping cycle that we have to think about, when we're thinking about all these things. So if we're thinking about the benefits or the features, then I know that if I'm going to have a benefit and I'm going to show you the benefit in 30 seconds, then that's the benefit. So my podcast is something that I want people to come to listen to, right? The We Don't Play podcast show. And from the We Don't Play podcast show, you can now decide what you want to do, because I don't know what you would need. I don't know if you need help, if you need advertising, if you need sponsorship, if you need SEO services, if you need Pinterest account management, if you need a website built. I don't know these things until you tell me. And I can't read your mind, so I would have to hear from you to express and tell me, hey, Favour, I'm raising my hand, I need help with this. And I'll be like, okay, you need this? All right, I got this. If you don't say it, how will I know? So that's why the podcast is the best way to start, because from getting there, you can listen and now you tell me, okay, I like what you're talking about, so I'm interested in this or that. Then that tells me what you came in for, because I don't want to give you the wrong impression. I might be talking about food and you're here trying to think about real estate. Those are two different things, two different interests for the context of being in that position at that time. So when I'm looking at the messaging, it's like, how am I going to make it better? So I realize that if you run ads that are more educational than just buy now, search now, you're going to have a stickier connection. And why am I saying this? I've been running $1 a day ad. It's actually $2 because I was running one in the US and another one in Luxembourg, and it's still been running since February. $2 a day. $2 a day. And with these $2 a day, I've been averaging between 9 cents to 16 cents, and I've been getting about 10 to 20 clicks per day. And I'm using $2. So now I said, okay, now that I've been using $2, I'm going to ramp it up to $5, because now with the $2, I've been able to gather data since February, and now I want to amp it up a little more by now showing them a little bit more of the information, because they've already seen me. I've been advertising. It's a video. They've just been watching, reading the captions, learning, and I've been seeing the advertisement running back. So I said, you know what? Now let me actually switch the advertisement, because since February, there's something called ad fatigue. You can run an ad all year, all day, but you don't want to eat the same rice every day. You don't want to have the same chicken every day. You want to have it different. You just want to have a different taste, because you have a taste bud. So you want to keep it fresh. You want to keep it sexy. You want to keep it cool. You want to keep it fresh. You want to keep it nice. You want to keep it light. You want to keep it cool, but you also don't want to be forward. You don't want to be too forceful. You don't want to be too salesy, because that's when they'll be like, nah, I'm not doing this. You want it to be approachable. You want to be attractive. You want to smell good. You want to feel good. You want to look good, both inside and outside. So how do you do that advertising wise? Is by focusing on the benefits, because the benefits is what's going to help you. If you see that, oh, you're going to look at this ad that talk about, oh, I have a headache. Now you look at this painkiller that's going to just take your headache away in 30 seconds. 30 seconds ad that's going to give you a headache relief. Great, cool story. But you're going to still buy it, because you know that the end result of what you saw is the result that you need. They're not going to tell you, oh, it has this ingredient, it has an ingredient. They care about that, but they don't care for that in that time that they actually need help. So if you're giving them something that they trust, then they will trust you when you're giving them that information. So when you're running an ad in form of educational material, you get to actually trust or build more trust. That's how I'm going to be running my ad, because I did an ad. Actually, let me see if it's there before. Okay, it's gone. It's because I did it past 24 hours ago, because I did a quick, I did a quick test with my organic feed. So I posted it on WhatsApp, I posted it on Facebook, Instagram, and I wanted to see for the first 24 hours what people see, what people think. And people said, oh, I like this. They loved it. Some people said, I'm interested. I was like, okay, you guys are interested. This is just me posting on my stories. So I'm looking at my story count. I'm looking at my like count. I'm like, okay, you guys are actually loving this. And these are people that I know. These people that know me. So now I'm I'm like, okay, if people know me and I know them, and this is actually what they like, and they actually tell me what they like about what they're seeing, imagine the people that don't know me, that I don't know, that like the same thing, because it's not about me. It's about what they need. I'm just the vehicle that's going to get them there. So I'm just the vessel that God's going to use that's going to get them there. So how am I going to do that is by putting myself in the position to educate them. So I now put it in a way where in this 37 seconds, I split it into two. First half of it, I said, hey, are you a business owner? Calling all business owners, entrepreneurs, and creators. If you have a business, if you have a website, if just like me as a business, because I'm now making you feel like we're together. I'm not trying to tell you, oh, if you have a business, come to me. I also have a business too. I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm also a business owner, and I'm doing what I'm telling you to do because I've done it myself. So me giving them that proof is like, okay, cool. He's not here trying to sell anything. He's just telling me what he does. Okay, let me listen more. Now that stickiness keeps you in. And then the next thing I talked about is the statistics of podcasting. There are 4.5 million. In fact, now, according to podcastindex.org, it's 4.6 million. We've actually gone up the 4.5 million. So in fact, I won't be surprised if by December or by Q2 2026, there are going to be 5 million podcast shows. But still, 16% of them are active. So that tells you one thing. You still have a chance to show up. You still have a chance to blow up. You still have a chance to do something with your business that can really put you out there. I just had a call with Amazon today, or yesterday, because now it's midnight. A call yesterday, and it was a beautiful call, and a lot of good things are happening for the podcast industry. And I've done a lot of research on podcast hosting platforms, on podcast directories, because it's not a game anymore. It's never been, but I feel like people are getting more serious, and I need to make sure that you're ready for the seriousness that's coming, because monetization is something that you'd have to really understand. Am I really ready for this? And if you're not, then don't do it. I don't advertise. I don't run ads for our business. Our business doesn't thrive on ads. It thrives on excellence. It thrives on integrity. It thrives on ethics. It thrives on consistency. Like this is midnight. I should be sleeping right now, but I know you're going to need this. You're going to listen to this, and I'll be sleeping, but you'll be listening to this, but I did my time. So I'm not just looking at, oh, we're 5 people in here. I'm thinking about the people who are going to listen to this, that will hear this for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years coming. Because I know that this information is something you can Google. But when you Google something, who are you going to see on Google talking about the same thing that you heard? So it's kind of like a looping effect. So if I know that you're going to go and see it online, then why not talk about it first? So it's like saying, I don't want to hear it from outside before I hear it from home. Charity begins at home. If I hear something that I should have heard from the house first, that I heard outside first, there's a problem, because now you have a disconnect. There's a distrust, because like, how would they know before I did? So this is the same thing I'm doing here. So when you're thinking about the long-term plan, you have to ask yourself, okay, where are we going with this? So educating them is what I did. Then at the end of the ad, the creative that I've done, the media section, the call to action is, hey, if you like this information, click here and sign up. And that sign up is to sign up to the WeDon'tPlayPodcast.com website, so that when they sign up, they now sign up and connect. From that connection, now you're in. Whenever you get an email, you're able to now know exactly what you want. And then eventually you'll reach out when you're ready. I'm not here to say, hey, buy now, because I don't have time for people to, that's not even my nature. I'd rather attract, because if we're not the same fit, if it doesn't work, then I don't think we should be forcing something that should break, because if it breaks, both of us are going to look crazy, and we shouldn't be doing that in the first place. So we'd rather save ourselves the time and the energy and the stress and the sorrow and all the things that we could have accumulated by just stopping where we know we shouldn't continue from. So those are things that you have to be mature about and make those decisions. So we run off referrals, it run off SEO, Pinterest, Clubhouse, LinkedIn. That's how it happens organically. And that's how we've connected to thousands of people. Now we're in 151 countries. It's not just by happenstance. It's just because there's consistency. And you realize that you're not talking to yourself, you're talking to people, and people are actually listening. And the craziest part is, if people tell you they're listening, there are more people that are not telling you that they're listening than people that are actually listening that are telling you. So that should actually give you like a little like, okay, this is really, really happening. Yeah, it's happening. And the more you know, the more you don't know. That's why I love doing rooms like this, because I know that eventually when you hear these things, it's going to help you grow. It's going to help you know more better things that you didn't know before. And I listen to podcasts out there. I listen to shows out there. They're doing amazingly well. And they're doing incredibly well because everybody's saying something that makes sense. Everybody's saying something that adds value. And we're not here to compete. We're here to connect. And if you listen to a radio show and you listen to 5 radio shows, you feel better because you listen to health, lifestyle, food, travel, relationships. You feel like you're whole again. You feel like holistically connected to your source. You're not just one arm or one eye or one leg. You have a full body and all parts have to work together. So it's very important to see that. Thank you. I have to go now. You're amazing. Always making sense. Thank you so much, Princess. Appreciate you for being here. Yeah, I'll be out of here in the next 10 minutes because I want to make sure that, I capture everything. But for you to be here, I really appreciate you because sticking to this point means that you really want to understand how to advertise as a brand and what are the best practices, right? I'm going to give you something that's going to be very exclusive, and I'm going to say it now really quickly. I had a call today with 2 amazing people from India, and this is the second time I'm meeting them, and they're doing amazingly well. And we were talking about AI and visibility and what's happening in the market, in tech world and everything. And I told them that, they've developed this platform called Etheo, ETHEO.co. And it's an AI visibility tool that allows you to know whether you're ranking on Cloud, ChatGPT, or Google. And I was discussing with them about these tools, and I'm like, this is going to be the new wave of marketing. And they were like, yeah, there's some other tools we've talked about. And I even mentioned that, shout out to Neil Patel and in marketing school, also with Eric C, 2 amazing guys on the podcast. I listened and I got to hear too about Profound. And I told them about it. I was like, yo, have you heard about Profound? They're like, yeah, we have. And then I also asked them, have you heard about Mentions.SEO? They're like, yeah, too. And these are the platforms that are charging you crazy amounts, but some are charging you decent, some of them are charging you crazy. Like Profound is charging you about $400 a month. I don't know any small business that's going to pay $400 a month for a tool. That's way above the overhead cost of that business. So that's not their audience. Their audience is more of large business to enterprise, right? Because that's going to be their mixing model, which is totally fine, right? It's either you're getting, a general brand, or you're going to get a prestige brand, which is going to be, or maybe a luxury brand or a premium brand. What is going to be the style of your brand that's going to make sense to the people that you're appealing to, right? If you're luxury, then you're going to appeal to a certain style of people. If you feel premium, that's going to feel a type of way to some people. If you feel chill and laid back, that's going to have an attraction to the kind of people that you connect with. So it's up to you. So you like what you like, and that is totally fine. But you have to also resonate with what you like so that you're not petrified or angry with what's going on. You want to be very, very, specific with your targeting. So I spoke with these guys and I told them these are the tools that you're going to be in competition with. So how are you going to be breaking through this market and making it happen for them? And I gave them a really good insight, which connected the dots, and they're like, oh, okay. So I'm excited to see where this is going to go. I don't want to say too much right here, but when it happens, and at least you heard, because I love building from scratch. I love the sand and just picking things up in bricks and making it into a home. So when you look back, you trust the process and you enjoy because that process, when it's done, it's done. It's like a baby. When a baby is born, when they grow, they're not going to be a baby again. So you have to think about enjoying those little moments that you think are forever, but are very, very, very tiny, but they're very monumental. So creating that information, I now told them, I said, hey, you guys check this out. They said, okay, bet. Now they're going to be working on something that is going to be very disruptive as a brand, which I'm excited to see, because it's kind of like an AI competition war going on right now, because Mentions charges you about $99 a month compared to another platform that's about $400. And I got access to the platform. And Chris, I see you there with with the birthday. So happy Clubhouse anniversary. So I thought about it and I said, you know what? I'm going to look into this thing and see how this thing works. So right now I've used Ethio. I'm not using Profound, and I'm using Mentions. And with Mentions, it's even more intense because I told them, hey guys, the price of what Profound is paying, people are paying $400 for, is what I'm paying $99 for. In fact, I got a 50% off deal because I joined the waitlist early, and now I'm grandfathered in for $49. And I'm like, what? People are paying $400 and I'm paying 10% of that. So I started realizing, you know what? I'm going to tell y'all about this because I want everybody to win. And if you don't know, you don't know. You see, and it may not even be on Google. You see, it may not even be on Google. And I told them I'm going to write an article because I started realizing that some businesses don't even talk about themselves on Google because they don't even do SEO. They just do business. And that is totally fine. And I'm like, yeah, it has to be very important. So Mentions, so you're right. So Ethio, yes. So it's mentions.so. Yes, that's you found Mention. Great. And then Ethio.co. Those are the two of them. If you look at them, very, very, and I'm always on LinkedIn. So that's how I actually got to know about both of them, because you're welcome. So it really helps you as well. And also, H, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it too. If you check it, I'm putting the links in the chat for y'all so that you can also see it too, just in case you want to get the link. If you have it, that's perfect. So yeah, boom, there are those two links there. So these two platforms really tell you what it is. And then there's Profound. Let me send you Profound as well, because I look at these tools and I'm like, okay, I see what's happening here. People are, of course, it's early. There's a lot of noise about AI, but at the end of the day, I've just put the link in the chat too. It's also tryprofound.com, ethio.co, and mentions.so. These are great platforms that you can use to understand your business, right? But one of them is going to cost, one of them is going to be free. And then I talked to them about Ethio. Ethio is not going to be free forever. Cameron, was good. Thank you for being here. Check the links in the chat, by the way. These are some new AI tools that I've been discussing for advertising too. So yeah, and Lydia too, check the chat. Thanks for being here. These are the tools that are going to be, howdy. These are the tools that are going to help you. Thanks for being here, Cameron. These are the tools that are going to help you scale when you advertise, because when you have more brand mentions as a business, you spend less money. I say that again. When you have more brand mentions, you spend less money. Why? Because you've built trust from the beginning. When you build trust, I have less conversations. If I don't trust you, I need to listen to you more so that I can get to know if I really am paying attention to things that I don't want to listen to or things that I have to listen to make a difference of whether I'm going to work with you or not. So think about trust. Trust, if I trust you, I don't even have to talk. I can just be in your presence and we're just chilling and you trust everything and you feel comfortable. That's trust. So trust is silence, but it's silence in knowledge. Because when you're wise, you're silent. You listen more than you speak. So everything we're doing here is very, very basic, but it's very fundamental too. That's why I'm not saying, hey, just advertise and go put your best brand out there. It won't work because you're not going to do it the way it's supposed to be done, especially now. Most brands, let me just tell you now, because I've been doing a lot of brand listening, social listening, and meetings and having calls with clients and businesses. People are planning for Black Friday right now. If your business is not planning for Black Friday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and you start planning in October, just forget about it. Just wait 2026. I'm being very honest, because if you're not writing articles right now, if you're not creating podcast shows or being on guest episodes or talking about this information in your emails or having offers or offer rings or incentives or giveaways or thought leadership content that's going to help them make a decisive decision or an executive decision within the next 30 to 90 days, then it needs to start now. Because these big brands, when that time comes, they're going to be running ads. For example, Apple. Apple is going to start running ads in September because the iPhone 17 is going to be out. So what are you going to be doing in September if you didn't start doing things now in July? In fact, July is almost over. So have you done anything in July that has tabulated or put you in a position of authority to say in July, we posted this, we got this happened. Can you track that? And that has to come in play with how you create content. There are new tools out there. There's Fathom Analytics. Check it out. Fathom Analytics is a tool that you can use. I'm giving you guys these tools to think about, not because they're shiny objects, but if you've never heard of them before, here's where you hear them first. And that's why I love anybody that listens to this podcast, because I always hear that it's barrier-free information, it's high-value content, it's information you can actually trust, and it's something that people appreciate. And I appreciate you too, because I'm not doing this to get any Nobel Peace Prize. If that happens, thank God for that to happen. But the goal is to make sure that you're in a position of authority and a position of knowledge that you can make an informed decision that's going to help your business make a better decision in the next decision you're going to take. So as a business, if you're looking at the 5 M's of marketing, if you're looking at the 5 M's of advertising, then your big question is going to be asking yourself, how am I going to make sure that most people are going to find me? And how am I going to do this in the best way possible? Because if I'm going to be thinking about the 5 M's of advertising, which is media, measurement, message, mission, and money, then how are you going to operate those things, right? How are you going to operate those things at a larger scale? Right now, we have a Pinterest plan. That is one thing that is exciting. If you want Pinterest account management for business, that's something we can do for you, which is exciting, either monthly, quarterly, biannually, or annually, and incorporate that into your SEO and digital marketing campaign. Another thing too, which we have, is podcast sponsorships. Now, podcast sponsorships happen in 2 ways. Let me give you the breakdown, because we're talking about advertising best practices for brands. And if you have a business or a brand and you do this, this will be perfect for you, especially if you include music, playlists, content, and community into your mix, into your content mix or your marketing mix. It's going to be good for you too. So as a business, right? I want to be very honest with you here. As a business, when you create content and you're creating content for the person that's going to see your brand for the first time, one of the best practices is to allow them to feel your presence as though they're feeling another presence of a brand that they're familiar with. I'll give you an example. If you like to go to Chick-fil-A, for example, and I tell you the best Chick-fil-A alternative is Popeyes, for example, because I said the best Chick-fil-A alternative, you're more attentive to what I'm about to say than me saying, have you heard of Popeyes? That's the next Chick-fil-A, or that's the alternative. You've already lost me from the question, because now I'm not really interested in that question because I didn't ask for it. But now that I'm giving you an interested question with an accelerated impact, meaning that you already know what you like, and I'm telling you, do you know about this alternative? Then that's where you're able to see it. I'll give you a very clear example, because I love giving examples so that it also hits home. And speaking of home, there's a platform called Roam, right? And if you've heard of Roam, this is a platform that I've actually started using. I've spoken with the CMO, and I even showed him this article before it went public, and I put it on LinkedIn, and it's something that is actually going out right now. I'll put the link up in the top. All right, here we go. Boom. I'm giving you guys real examples right now. There's an article on the best Zoom alternative. Why Rome Leads Online Meetings 2025 Guide. Now, for those who have big rooms, who have theaters, who have virtual offices, who have spaces, who actually want to build teams, this is like, I even told them when I had a meeting with them, I said, I feel like this is when is Zoom and Spatial Chat had a baby, it would be Rome, literally, because Spatial Chat does what Rome does, but with Zoom features, which is really exciting. But people don't want to think about the features, right? I can tell you about all these features. Oh, it does this, it does that, but who cares? You care eventually when you use it because you want to know what you're using it for as a feature, like a car. But the benefit is what you're going to need first, and that's advertising. So that's why you can see I talked about why Rome leads online meetings. I didn't say why Rome has more features. Somebody would be like, okay, cool story, bro. But if I'm telling you why Rome leads online meetings, now you want to know why. Because I've built curiosity, I've built on demand, I've built interest, and I've built awareness. And I've built awareness because I've also collaborated with a brand called Zoom that you already know. That's why you feel familiar with the information. Because if I just said, hey, here's why Rome leads online, you'd be like, what is Rome? Now that what is Rome is one question less that I shouldn't have answered. Because that Rome should have been answered in the title of the message that you conveyed, in the advertising that you gave. So when you now advertise, and your best practice is to give somebody the benefit of why you're telling them, like right now, why Rome leads. Now you're going to read the information. There's a whole Zoom, actually, let me even say Zoom. There's a whole YouTube video that is showing how Rome works. If you click this link in the show notes at the top of this link or this room or in the description, you click on the link and you will see it. Scroll down on this page and you'll see Rome in full-blown action before you even sign up. And if you sign up with my link, I have an affiliate link there, and you can sign up. Feel free to connect with me if you have any questions. This platform is dope. And why do I do this? Because I've been having meetings with my clients, and our team have been amazing, and our clients have been amazing. But one thing has been consistent, and it's been happening for the last few weeks now, which happens across all boards. And it got to a point where I said, yeah, this has to change. Zoom, whenever you use the Zoom app, it takes a lot of CPU storage. It takes a lot of background storage. When you're using, even if you have a terabyte RAM, it's still going to eat up a couple of percentages, which is still not good. So the processor is big because they have third-party apps and all these things and all this tech stuff. So it slows down your computer, right? Because you can't multitask. Of course, you can use it, but it's going to be a slower reaction. Rome does the opposite. Now, if you think about it, Zoom is about $16.99, right, a month, if you're doing it monthly. But if you now get all these other tools like Otter AI, Fathom, Read, all these other third-party tools to install, you're gonna have to pay more than $16.99, right? But for Rome, you're getting AI, you're getting an AI agent in there, you're getting AI inbox. You can even do AI stories. You can even do your own story there. Do a story within your community. You can build teams. Yeah, have a first floor, second floor, third floor. You can have a room. You can knock in the room. You can put Spotify playlist in there. You can actually do a lot of things and actually have a virtual office. And then you have AI incorporated, which is dope, for $18, for $18.88. That's what they say. So imagine you're doing all that. Your overhead costs are going down. You have much faster speed processing. You have a more committed business operation, and you're doing this seamlessly. That's advertising. Right now, you know about Rome, because I want you to know about Rome, because I know that in the next few years, things are going to change, right? Everybody was talking about Zoom in 2020. We're in 2025, borderline 2026. So if you don't know about these tools now, I don't know when you're going to figure them out, because they start happening and you're like, okay, things are changing and businesses are booming. This company also showed up at the same time. And of course, Zoom has been here for years. If you look at Crunchbase, if you go do some research, you'll know Zoom it just didn't show up. They've been around. But now with these new tools that are showing up, they've been in business for like 5 years now. Yeah, Rome has been around for about 5 years, and they're on product hunt. Check them out too. They're doing well. And I want you to do well too, because when I'm doing better, I want you to do better. I don't want to having a great time and you're not looking good, that's not going to be good for me, because we both need each other. So iron sharpens iron, right? If I know better, I do better. So showing you this thing is important, because as a brand, that's how you're able to do it. If you're going to advertise, one of the M's for advertising is message, right? We've talked about it, right? So if you think about the message is going to keep somebody informed, but they're getting to be informed based on the media that you give them. And because of that medium, there's a mission to that. So if the message is telling you something, you also have to think about the measurement. The measurement comes in the period of time. So right now we have podcast sponsorships, and it's very exciting that we've built out a model that is very easy for you to tap into at any level, literally at any level. And I even mentioned it in the season 11 exclusive updates, if you go back to that episode. And I talked about it, and I said, hey, we're going to be bringing advertisements here, and it's going to be exciting because it's either going to be host read or it's going to be baked in, meaning that it's going to be attributed based on the ad that you want to listen to, because I'm going to be bringing ads that you would like to hear. Based on the analytics I already have about what you like, I'm able to know, okay, this is what you guys like. Because sometimes with podcasts, you feel like you don't know what people like until they tell you. But if you're able to research and know what they actually like, then if you give it to them even easily, they'll feel more connected. Like, oh, this person gets me. Oh, you feel me. Okay, we speak the same language. Yeah, we're going to click better. That's why when you speak a foreign language, you click faster, or you even have a deeper connection because of the origin or the root, compared to just saying it in English. Because English, yeah, we can talk, we can have a conversation, but when you're not going to your dialect, you're going into the root, which is going to even give you a more experiential feeling, which is going to make the connection even deeper when you're actually connecting the dots. So that's the same thing with advertising. If I'm going to speak to you, then I have to resonate with what I'm saying so that you can actually see it. So if you're going to see it as a brand, and I'm telling you, here's the best alternative to this, or are you a podcaster? Are you this? Are you this? I'm bringing you closer. Because if I started saying, hey, there are 5 million podcasts in the world, are you ready to start your podcast? Somebody would be like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, like you'll be looking so out of place. But if I'm bringing you in, I'm saying calling all, like with military, like calling all, you're literally calling everybody to formation. That is now how you know, okay, this is everybody, this is what we need. You're now creating structure, right? Within that structure, you can now control the structure. You can now build from the structure. If you need 3 bricks or 30 bricks, that's because you need 3 or 30 to accomplish one thing. So it's the same thing when you're now creating it for online measurement. So when you think about measurement, it's like, okay, are we going to measure this for 7 weeks or 7 days or 7 months? Where are we going to do this, and how are we going to do this consistently? Because if it's going to take 3 months for someone to understand the brand, it might take somebody else 3 weeks to understand the same thing. But if it took us 3 months to understand the full picture, then we know how to achieve the next 9 months, because we know what people needed in the first quarter. So when you're advertising, you're not just advertising to sell, you're advertising to know. And especially as a business, you have to think about it long term and ask yourself if that business is going to help you grow or it's going to help you dip. It's up to you to see that. So when you think about these things, it helps you long term. So think about the advertising, think about the strong headline, because that strong headline is what they're going to remember. They're simply going to remember that. I'm sure you've probably seen some crazy ads on the road. Thank you, H. Appreciate you. You've seen some crazy ads on the road before, and those ads have done well because of how the messaging sounds so intense. But at the same time, you're like, is this really happening? Is this really happening? Well, it is, because you're creating content for the people who are finding it. But if people are not interested, they're not going to read. If I'm not interested in the book, I'm not going to buy. If I'm not interested in the offer, I'm not going to get it. Even if the offer was sweet, it's not interesting to me because I'm not interested. So when something becomes interesting, that's because they're investing in what they want to know, or how, if you pay attention to what you pay for, it grows. Where you focus grows. So when you're thinking about your business and monetization with SEO, your advertising best practices for brands has to start off with a right hook. Left hook, right, like think about a jab, like a 1-2 jab. Left hook, right hook, left hook. If you're able to have a hook in the beginning, That hook is going to keep them staying. And that hook is going to allow them to know, okay, it's a strong headline. You're emphasizing on the benefits. You're also talking across the channels. You're engaging with the audience by giving them the message that they're asking for. And then you're optimizing it. If it's 37 seconds, then the next one might be 15 seconds. The next one might be 7 seconds. So by the time you're able to know what people are coming for, it's faster for you to process. So one of the best ways to do this is by starting off on Pinterest or having a podcast or having a website, which is a great start, because that way you can actually talk about things that you discuss, that you research on. And from there, you're able to go to websites like ivy.fm, go to semrush.com, go to answerthepublic.com, go to these platforms, go to answersocrates.com, go to sparktoro.com, go to pinterest.com, go to Google Trends, go to these platforms and understand even Pinterest trends and see what are people searching for? What are people asking? Then you go and answer those questions in form of a link and bring that link to your website. And then from your website, you can send people to your website through traffic that you can pay for through ads, or you can organically earn them by positioning them on the web that people can search for them through intent. It's really that easy, but we make it complicated, but we just have to make sure that it makes sense and we're able to also apply it across all the borders. So if you want to advertise, if you want to create your business, your brand, it starts off by being intentional with who is connecting with you, why they're connecting with you, and if they're connecting with you, then they can now resonate and actually make those next steps. So I'm really excited that we talked about this topic today. I really had this room as a very highly impromptu call because I felt like, okay, let me just come in here and give you guys some juice, because it's like, okay, there must be something that really resonated that had to keep this going. So yes, if you're looking for advertising best practices for branding, please reach out. And like I mentioned earlier, just so that you know this exclusively and transparently, if you want more information, click the link in the description. But we have two types of podcasting for you. I talked about this earlier. There's host-read ads and there's baked-in ads, right? So host-read ads means that you give me a script, and that script is what I'm going to read, and that's what I'm going to let people know about what you want them to hear. And then that is a host-read ad. And that ad shows up either as a pre-roll before the episode starts, in the mid-roll, right in the middle of the episode, or the post-roll, which happens after the episode is completed or finished or played. So that's going to be a way to do it. So we have an option where you can invest per episode, or you can invest per set of episode, right? And we have sets of 10, a set of 25, and a set of 52. And with the 52, you can save as a discount because that's a whole year. 25 is technically half of the year, almost half of the year, technically around there. And then 10 is the first 10 weeks. So 10 weeks, you have technically 3.5 weeks. That's a quarter and some change for you to decide if this is really happening for you, if it's really working for you. And trust me, it does work because people want to hear you. And this includes features. So if you've never been on a podcast before, now you have a voice to be on. And then the advertisement budget that you even invest in, a percentage of that goes into advertising your episode, not even the show, your episode, so that people can listen to your voice, listen to your information, so that when they listen to your episode, they can tap in. And then if they're in the city, if it's local, if it's international, if it's regional, if it's even national itself, then they'll find you and connect with you because you're the one that they need to see. And if we're able to do research in the beginning, then it's faster, whether it's through billboards, whether it's through TV, whether it's through zip code marketing on Pinterest, or whether it's just through advertising on the podcast within the Spotify audience network. It can work. So it's really up to you. We have those options. If you're thinking about starting these things, start off the right way and you can see how that goes. So if you're able to understand and say that this is what we're going to do, then that's how you're able to grow. If you want more information about the quotes and the pricing, reach out, send an email to Favour, FAVOUR at playinc.online, or you just go to info at playinc.online and ask the question. Cameron, you're interested? Thank you for letting me know. I will send you an email tonight before I sleep, because I already have, it's a full presentation. It has everything in there and it's very legible. Like, it's very easy to read and it's straightforward. And I just like to make things clear. Like when people say, oh, there's this, it becomes very blurry. But when you're able to see this and you're like, oh, it's working, boom, it makes sense. And someone can listen to your episode and within 2 minutes, they love what you're saying because of what you said. And they feel it's like radio, but accelerated on digital landscapes now. And after speaking with Amazon today or yesterday, it's midnight now, past midnight here, Central Time. After speaking with Amazon, I just knew it. I just knew that, yes, this is the time to scale because we're moving. Like, for example, Michelle Obama's podcast and her brother, that's an amazing show. They're on that Amazon platform. And that's where I'm heading to with some of our clients, the ones that would want to move along with us. And there are other platforms I'm considering, but just by connecting these dots, it's like, okay, now we know where we're going. Because when you're part of a family, when you're part of a connection, it's not just about your net worth, which is something that you can always talk about, you can always go up or down, but your network, those relationships you build, money can never replace that. If you build a relationship and it burns, that's because it burned out of lack of trust, out of lack of foundation. And that's something that has to be fixed, because if that person and you had a really great relationship and it was broken, that trust cannot be rebuilt, because it's harder to rebuild trust than to even start it. So you may not even start it at all. But if it's something that you're really willing to go and see to the finish, then of course your integrity will count and it will show along the way. So these are the things that we're doing now. And we're like, okay, now we actually see where we want to go. And it's actually advertising back to you. It's an investment back to you, especially with zip code marketing. Imagine if you're advertising to people that are only within your radius and you're spending top dollar for that. But at the same time, they're listening to you and they're learning about what you do. They're not just seeing your ad on a social platform. It makes more sense, because gone are the days when people will just swipe on Google or go to Facebook and Instagram and just buy from you. Yeah, they'll go there, but they need to hear, they need to feel, they need to stay connected. And if you're able to see that happening with your website, because at the end of the day, when we're advertising, it's not going to us, it's going to you. It's going to your website. So you say, okay, we could take them to this landing page. That landing page is going to be on your website. But the advertisement from the billboards, from the QR code scanning, from whether it's a TV or whether it's going to be within a network on Pinterest, they're going to see something that's still going to connect back to you. So if it's going to be our episode, that episode will be listened to, but they're going to listen to you, and that way you're going to get that much visibility. So the goal is still a win-win at the end of the day, however you slice or dice your cake or cut your cake. So if you're able to think about this long-term, this is the best mode, honestly. And it's a money saver, it's a time saver, because you don't want to be stressing. The last thing you want to do is stress. Thank you, Danny. Thanks for being here as well, Carl. The last thing you want to do is stress, because the more you stress about business, welcome Siraj, the more you waste time, because time to build builds in silence. And in silence, you have solidarity that you can actually think through the process and actually analyze logically where you want to meticulously show up. That way, with the strategy, you can have a forecast and say, yeah, I want to be here, I want to be here, I want to be here. That's because you've actually forecasted it. And if you're sending people to that platform, it makes sense, right? I talked about a lot of platforms on this call today. So if you really catch any of these tools and you try them, don't just test them out. Use them for the benefit of really understanding where your business is going. And if you're able to use them and scale them, then why not? Try it out, because the last thing you want to do is not try it out. Because if you try it out and it works, great. If it didn't work, then you can try something better that works, because you've learned from what you've gained as a lesson. It's not a loss. So you have to think about it like that, and that changes a lot of perspectives. And the more you're able to think about it that way, the better. I'll just give you some numbers, just so that you know that it's not a joke at all. Let me just give you some numbers. There are some companies that are really doing intense, right? I won't even mention the brands. I have the information, but I don't want to say too much in it. But there are some businesses that are spending up to $1.2 million a month running podcasts. And they run it across, it's not just one podcast. It could be across 1,000 podcasts, 100 podcasts. And they're companies that you know, that I know, that are spending money on platforms that if I mention any of these brands I'm looking at right now, you would know them by default, because they run ads on a daily basis. There's a company I'm seeing here that's about 3.4 million, and they're running ads on a daily basis. Some of them is 1.1 million, and they're going across 500 plus episodes. And it's not just one episode, it's a bunch of them. So it's not like these brands are just buying one podcast. They say, okay, we have this budget. How many podcasts are out there that talk about this same thing? So we're going to split our budget, and then it's going to go to the bid, and then from the bid it's going to go to the transmitter, which will now pick on the podcast show that has the best extension. And then if it's a host-read ad, that's coming from the business, or if it's from your business, it's now going to be something that says, okay, hey, Favour, we have this script, read this script, this is going to be what you wanted to say. Or you have a pre-recorded campaign or a promo that we're just going to ingest into the audio that now somebody can listen to because it's already a promo that you already pre-recorded. So either way it goes, it's still going to be your content, your authenticity, your brand, your voice. And then from there it goes out. So all these brands that are spending all these amounts, I did the math. I'll give you an example. One of them, and I already did this math earlier, one of them does about, let me see. Yeah, let me use this one. One of them does 2.3 million, right? And they do 2.3 million across 634 stations or 634 podcasts. So if you're looking at 2.3 million, right? This is advertising we're talking about. 2.3 million divided by 634. That means this company is spending at least $3,600 per podcast episode, not even per show, per episode. And that's because these shows are bringing in anywhere between 1,000 to 1 million visitors when it comes to listening, because people trust podcasters that trust brands. You know, it's not just, oh, sign up here. People, like, if you don't support this brand, if you don't support this business, if you're not supporting this mission, then it's not going to be easy for someone to say, yes, I want to just brand out. There has to be a reason why this podcast is working for the way it is, to the point where I didn't even know this, but now I'm actually getting to see this. Even with podcasting, there's a political skew. It's either going to be on one side or the other. It's going to be neutral or mixed. I've seen that. And I'm just like, what? This thing is actually for real? Yes. And it's the listeners. It's not even about you, the podcaster. It's about the listeners listening to you. So when you start thinking about shows you want to be on, podcasts you want to be on, content you want to be on, you have to be very specific. And we can read these numbers. We can see them. Just like if you go to a real estate agent, or if you go to a car dealership and you're asking for a car or for a house, they're going to go into their system and they're going to get you the best deal because they have a license, because they're certified, because they have expertise, because that is their niche. That's the same thing I'm talking about here with podcasting, with advertising, with SEO, because we have those tools that can access those same data points. So any business you go to is going to give you engineering, oil, gas, travel, anyone. They'll give you their tools that you can use, their things that you can actually make decisions on, but you have to be invested in it. And that's why we don't just blab things out, because we want to make sure that it's very specific to your targeting and you're able to get the best out. So if you need information like this, click the link above, click the show notes, book a call, get on an SEO service call, and let's talk about it. Let's make sure that you have the right access to these points, and don't feel overwhelmed, because the more overwhelmed you feel, the less you're going to do. But if you're able to give it to professionals, experts, just like you give it to your attorneys, you give it to lawyers, you give it to doctors, you give it to therapists, you give it to people who have professionalism and what they do on a daily basis, that's what they eat, breathe, and sleep, then you won't have to worry about sleeping or not sleeping, because you can sleep knowing that somebody's taking care of things that you've paid for, knowing that when you wake up in the morning, you get a good response. You feel like you're making progress every day. And that's because you're advertising. And you don't have to do it for a long time. You can do it for 10 weeks. You can do it for one episode. And that one episode will run you through a month. You can see how that can go for you. You could run it for a week. Because when people are listening to episodes, they're not just listening to a show, they're listening to the full thing. So if they're going to listen to the full thing, then you can cover a full episode, and that episode can be run through the whole month. And you can say, okay, for this month, let me see how this goes. But you know that it's not just organic. It's a mixture of the organic audience that is coming in that already listens to the show, and then the potential market that you're actually advertising to through a billboard, through a network, through an ad processor, or through a server. So it depends on how you're going to do it. But either way it goes, you're going to have a mixed blend of two. Because if I'm able to advertise to you organically and paid wise, then I'm going to have earned media and shared media, right? There's a quadrant. There's organic media, there's paid media, right? That's the top quadrant, right? Left and right. And the bottom is shared media and earned media. Shared media and earned media is where we all play. It's kind of like the front two wheels of your car. You share content on Facebook today, you share on LinkedIn tomorrow, you share on Threads the next day, you share on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, on LinkedIn. That's great. You keep sharing. That's you driving the boat because you're going everywhere every day, showing up on different social media platforms. And then one day you get earned, oh, wow, somebody featured me on this blog, someone featured me on this podcast. That is earned media because you earned a file, you earned a page, you earned a link. That's the essence of you earning a backlink, right? So when you're earning media, it's because you shared media first. If you go to Reddit, thank you, Danny. If you go to Reddit, you can share media. You can put content out there, but you earn it because you're receiving it back. You can't give what you don't have. If you can't win a Grammy or Nobel Peace Prize or an Oscar if you didn't do the work, if you didn't put in the work, if you didn't put in the time. So it's the same principle. There's really nothing different. It's just the application and the process that changes based on the context of what you're trying to achieve. So if your goal is to make sure that you're building these things, welcome Trisha and Lee. If your goal is to build these things, then monetization has to be focused on branding. Thank you for the love, right, Trisha? Appreciate you too. Your brand has to stand out because as a brand, you're advertising to people, right? Would you rather have 5 sales a week and you're advertising to 100 people? Or would you rather have 1 or 2 sales and you're advertising to 1,000 people a week? You do the math. It's really up to you, because when you think about it, Instagram has high impressions and low conversions. YouTube has low conversions. Sorry, high. Let me give you the math again. YouTube has high conversions and low impressions. Instagram has high impressions and low conversions. I'll say it again just to be clear. YouTube has low impressions and high conversions, while Instagram has high impressions and low conversions. Podcast is low effort, high impact. It's kind of like the reverse. It's like a plot twist. It's the other way around. So because you're showing up on a platform, you're planting seeds. So if I may not listen to you on the podcast today, in the next year or 2 or 3, I might be binging your content for the next 3 or 4 years. It's like index funding. You're literally planting seeds into a code that's going to be germinating seed by impressions over time when people find your audience or when they're interested in something through a click. So that helps you to also get you out there as well. You're welcome, Lee. Just seeing your comment. And Danny, you said being on podcast has resulted in conversations that led to deals. Yeah, brand deals, huge deals. I'm talking tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm talking like deals, millions, like Joe Rogan type deals. Like these things are possible. It's like we just don't see them because we've never experienced them, so we don't know them, and that's fine. But the more we're able to know these things, the better we're able to even budget or plan what we want to do. I still repurpose audio clips on podcasts years ago. Yeah, because it's evergreen. It's information that you can think about. Here on Clubhouse, I get notifications that people listen to my replays from 2022. I've been on Clubhouse since 2020. And I'm like, people are still listening to those episodes. They may look old to you, but it's new to somebody new. So when you start thinking about it differently and you're like, yeah, somebody has heard this before. Yeah, you've heard it to yourself 1,000,000 times, but 1,000,000 people have not heard it 1,000,000 times. So you have to think about where you want to be and how much you want to advertise that it rings a bell, because advertising is ringing a bell. It's just telling you, it's just reminding you of what you already know. That's advertising. If you didn't know it, that's marketing. Now I'm teaching you. But if it's advertising, it means, oh, Coca-Cola, oh, Tesla, oh, okay, Ford, okay, yeah, you know them. It's not like you're guessing, or what do they do? Let me Google, let me ask ChatGPT. No, because you already know what they do. My pleasure. You already know what they do because you've been hearing them for a long time. That's the advertising that has been consistent. That's why they pay for it, or they earn it through PR as well. So it's a big deal over here. And Trisha, you have a great question. Let me see. So you think with professional tools, IG shop links, if a person takes time to use them, the conversion rate increase? Let me say it this way. Right now, Google and Instagram are great together, because if you have an Instagram business account, you can actually be indexing your content from Instagram to Google, because you can go to the settings, account privacy settings, if you have a business account on Instagram, and then you can toggle on indexing, search indexing. When you turn it on, you can still use it. And I'll give you an example after I say this. You can use it from Instagram to your website as an embedded code, as opposed to a link. So an embedded code is just a set of code that you just copy and paste into your browser, which is technically on your web page within your website builder. And then anytime you have a website builder, it says added element, then it says embed code. Most of them will say custom code or embed code. Then to give you a blank canvas. You just paste it in the canvas and hit enter. Most times it should just work just like that, because you're just copying and pasting a code. When you do that, that code is now going to be presented on your website within a web page that's going to be in the form of a web link. So it's like a penthouse. So you have a web page. Let me start from the bottom. You have a website, because a website is everything. It's like your foundation, your blueprint, your house has to stand on solid rock. And then from your website, it's a web page. A web page could be your kitchen, it could be your door, it could be your closet, it could be the laundry, it could be the patio, it could be anywhere in your room, because that's a page. That page is leading you to a direct place. It's leading you to the kitchen, it's leading you to the laundry room, it's leading you to the bathroom. That's where it's leading you to as a page. Because when you open that door looks like a book. Because when you open the door, it's a big door. When you open it, it makes that noise. And then you flip that book, you open that door. So that's a page. Now, when you're in that room, there's a link. You're looking for the soap, you're looking for the hairbrush, you're looking for the clothes, you're looking for the utensils. That's because within that page, there's an element that is natural, that is normal to be existing in that place. Like you wouldn't be seeing soap in the patio, because it has to make sense within the context of the home, right? So when you use that same concept, and now you're educating people to now have a better understanding of where you want it to go, then you're using a platform like IG Shop, like you said, Trisha. That IG Shop is going to be a display, because I don't know anybody that has purchased on Instagram. Most people don't purchase on Instagram. People go there for community. They go there to view, to be impressed, to check it out, and then they go somewhere else to search. And the 5 places people go to purchase things on the internet is Google, Pinterest, Amazon, TikTok, and we can even say YouTube. Because when people are thinking about where to go, and especially now with AI, with ChatGPT and all these tools, they'll tell you, hey, go to this platform according to Amazon, according to this website. Your website is still part of that. So when you're using these tools like Instagram is going to be a great tool for business building, because you're able to expand the lifespan of the post. Because if you just have that Instagram pin, let me say it this way, because pin is Pinterest. If you have this Instagram post pinned to your web page, then it expands the lifespan of the post, because the lifespan of an Instagram post is about 19 hours compared to a Pinterest post or pin, which is 5 months. And then imagine doing 5 months and then make it even longer. A blog has a lifespan of 24 months. That's why when you go to Google right now, or even ChatGPT, you're going to get results from 2024, 2023, or even 2025. If it's recent and if somebody actually captured it, in recent time, or it's a headline. If not, you get the most recent, which would be the next recent option, which would be whether it's a 2024 edition or 23 edition, based on whoever wrote it as an author. So if you're getting that information out there and you're using Instagram as a tool for discussion, great. Definitely use Instagram because you can index it to your website. But don't just leave it on Instagram and expect sales to come from there. Because if I have a product guide or if I have a carousel and I want to show people what my products look like and I have it all on Instagram, then I'm going to use that Instagram on my website and then send that website to my email. I'm not going to send people directly to Instagram. I'm going to send them directly to my website, so that on my website, they can go to that web page I linked them to through the email, which will now allow them to see what they're supposed to see. Because if I just send you to a website or a web page, which is not supposed to be the page you're supposed to see, it's like me coming to your house as a guest and I'm not supposed to open this door because I'm not allowed to be in this room because I'm a guest. That's not a room for guests. So it's the same thing as a website. You want people to go to the right page so that they don't look confused and leave because they're like, okay, I'm not supposed to be here. Let me bounce. So when people have those high bounce rates, it's because people don't direct them to the right place. There's an entry page and there's an exit page. If people come in because they're expecting something and they leave without getting what they expected, they'll never come back. And that's the worst thing. So it's always a good thing to think about attribution and allowing people to feel connected when they show up on these pages. So it's a good way to really connect them back. So thank you so much for that feedback, Trisha. It's good, really, really good. And let me give you guys some insights. I talked about this in the room about SEO versus PPC, right? The average click-through rate for SEO, just in terms of organic search, when you look at your search console, it's 2.2% across all industries, whether it's B2B, B2C, D2C, wherever it is, it will still be 2.2%, right? That's the average standard across. Now, anything above that is fantastic. Anything below that, we can head there. That's why when I was saying 0.79% is really low, it's really low for Instagram. And then when you think about ads, right, the average across the industry for ads, it's always ranging, it's usually between 1.2 and 1.4, 1.5. You can hit 1.7 if you're really lucky, but it's going to be in that one range. If you're looking at like a linear scale, it's going to be linear within that one. It's not going to jump to a 2. So SEO is on the 2. Think about it like first floor, second floor, right? Because I like to make SEO very easy and enjoyable, like ABC. I don't like to give you Greek and mathematics because it's boring, but you like the math because you like the numbers, but you don't like the process because you don't like statistics. So there has to be a blend in between the two. You gotta have like broccoli and some sauce so that you can enjoy the food too and get the health benefits. So if you're looking at this from creating it as a business, then you're using your business as a brand to now expand what your message is in form of a media file. And that media file comes in form of a measurement. And that measurement is where you're able to now bridge the gap between how people are connecting with you and how they're finding you even credible to now connect the dots back to you as a brand owner or you as a brand user. So if I'm looking at the 5 M's of advertising and I'm looking at it from media to measurement to message to mission to money, the money part is where everybody wants to start from, but that's where they should end up at. Because if I did a service for you, if I did a business for you, or if I helped you with the business, if I, took care of your car, if I washed your car, if I washed something, if I washed your house or cleaned it up, then I'm going to receive a reward in form of a monetary gain because I exchanged time for money. Now, if you exchange money for money, that's advertising. Because what you're doing is you're delegating money for tasks. Just like you delegate people for tasks or you delegate tasks for people, it's the same way you delegate money for tasks. Because when you're delegating money for tasks, you're tasking that money so that it can have a return on investment or a return on effort. And Danny said it really well, Customer Journey 101. It starts from where do they begin? Are they even aware? Because there are different types of awareness models. It's not just, brand awareness. Yeah, But there is not aware, there is from not aware to product aware, even the solution aware, because people may not know that you have the solution. They may say, oh yeah, you do websites, but do you do websites on WordPress or Webflow? Now we get specific. How do we move? So when you start being very specific on how you send your message and talk about the benefits, the features will always come. They will always come back. So Danny, thank you so much for saying that. And Tricia says, so in Reels and Stories, we should be posting embedded links to get people so we can assist them to our website. Yes, that's the answer. So when you post a reel, stories may not work because stories are 24 hours unless you turn your story into a highlight. And then from your highlight, you can now share your highlight when you now connect them to your profile, and you now tell them, hey, go to my profile and click this highlight. You can now check the story. That's the manual way of doing it. But to embed the actual page, that would now be on your computer, and you'd have to use your desktop for that feature, because you wouldn't be able to do it on your phone, because you need to have to access the actual embedded code, which you can now install into your website as well. So that's how you're able to do it. And then once you create that, it gives you a much better response. And then Tricia says, thank you, Danny. I connect to people on IG pretty innocently, but the customer journey from there needs to be basic so that some of us can have a clear picture. Yeah, it gets very tricky, Tricia. I'd love to know more, because when you look at the, how does that even play? Hey, Tricia.
Hey, Favour. Hey, so I have like some accounts that I have a couple of IG accounts, and some of them, of course, do better than others with connecting with people. And it depends on the topic, it depends on what the page is about. But getting them from IG to a different place or a different platform could be a little tricky. Like you said, link in bio to where I'm taking them, or like you spoke about, that embedded link to get them to your website um, is different for me. Hearing that whole thing was really great, and I can see, like I see IG trying to say, "Oh, use our shop, use our way of, converting your stuff, selling your stuff," but it's not there yet. It's just not there. So I just wanted to hear how um, to keep it very basic and like you explained it. So put the embedded link in your reel so that the person can click and go right there. That was really great. And I know like people talk about they watch YouTube videos that solve a pain point, and they find stuff that they search that somebody might have made a YouTube video like 3 or 4 years ago, and it's still something that's still out there, and people are still watching it. So I just love it. I love the fact that you're talking about, it lasting longer than that maybe, you know, 4 hour, 5 hour thing where people have it in their feed and then it goes away. So thank you for all this information. It's great.
You're welcome, Tricia. Thank you for sharing. That's very helpful, because it's a great way to also know where to serve, how to show up, and then who's also listening too, because sometimes we don't know how people are connecting and where they're connecting from. But if they're able to see the picture through your lens, and then they're able to discover their content through your searches that you've already placed for them, it's easy matching. It's like, I think about, SEO and marketing and advertising like a library. If I want to get someone's attention, then I need to say the right thing. If I say the wrong thing, then I'm going to lose your attention. So if I'm able to grab that attention within the first 3 to 5 seconds, that's because I asked you a question, or I said, are you this, or I'm calling all this or that. And it helps. That's why even when you're advertising, I mentioned it earlier in the room that if you're to advertise any product, I would always put 24 to 48 hours prior to that. Choose your best platform of choice or use all at once, and then simultaneously see within a 24 to 48-hour cycle how the response to that content is, whether it's a blog, a podcast, a link, a video, an image. Is that something that people are resonating with? If you start getting comments and features from people that you know that you're actually connected to on a first degree, then you know that people who are probably in a third degree that you're probably not connected to or interconnected to will potentially like what you do because you're speaking the same language that they also resonate with. It's just that they didn't know that you exist or have that information for them to even opt in. But now that they do, they're now from not aware to now aware. And now that they're aware, they're able to now connect to you because you're able to give them information. So definitely, Trisha, when you use your website to connect a topic of choice, that let's say you posted something on Instagram and you're talking about 5 tips to solve A or B. Now you take that reel or you take that post, and how you do that is on your desktop, you're going to see 3 dots on the top right of your Instagram post. When you click those 3 dots, you're going to see a list of items. One of the items is going to say embed, 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 like Eminem, and then embed. So if you think about the bed, now you take that embed code, you just copy and paste. You copy that code. Then when you copy the code, you paste that code into your web page that you're building as a blog. If it's a YouTube embed, if it's an Instagram embed, those embeds are copy and paste. Once you paste it and you hit enter, it's stored. When you publish it, now it's indexed. So that's why a lot of people that have YouTube videos, even let me just give you an example, like artists, celebrities, because I'm in the entertainment business industry too. In the entertainment business industry, when you look at artists that go on tour, like this whole thing with Coldplay, for example, if you go to a blog, you can literally scroll down the blog, go to the web page, and you can see the actual video from the web page. You don't have to go to Instagram to watch the video that you're seeing about the Coldplay concert. You can see that exactly on that website, e.com, or you can see it on a news website.com that talked about that topic, but pulled the information from Instagram, but now it's on their website and you're watching it from their web page. So they're not even taking you to Instagram, they're keeping you on their site because they know the value of visit, sessions, scroll depth, click rate. These are things that are going to, I can say, germinate to your website online because you get more stronger signals because you have more activity. So if you have 500 impressions on Instagram, imagine those were 500 impressions on your Instagram post on your website. Now people are reading your post, they're on your website, you're gaining data, intelligence, intel that is going to allow you to tell them back in the future what they need because you're able to read the signs and in between and read in between the lines too. So it's just a good way of advertising than just leaving the platform on a platform or leaving the post on a platform that you know in the next 5 to 6 months, nobody's going to see that post again because it's been buried by so many other posts, or it's not even being seen because there's a cluster of content. So if you're able to think about quality control, that's the best way to really put it out there so that you also don't lose your audience and you can directly send them to those pages through email. So if you post something on Instagram and you say, hey, click my link in bio to learn more information or go to this website. Some people may not do it. The ones who do it, do it. The ones who don't. But like you said to Trisha, it's hard because Instagram, you have to click on the link to have access to it. And not everyone has time to click on a link. Not everyone has time to fill up a form on a web page that is on Instagram.com, which they came to socialize. They're not thinking psychologically about business. They're thinking about what did their friend eat for lunch or are they going to have for lunch. So it's a whole different psychological framework when I look at these platforms. But when you look at YouTube and somebody is solving a problem or they're trying to explain how this works, then the next minute they go to Amazon or then they go to eBay or they go to their website and buy it. That's because they feel like, okay, I've now watched 3 videos, I've spent 3 hours, and now I know what I want with this one thing. So it's just where you have to connect. Some people go to podcasts, and that's really where the money is now with podcasting because if you have a podcast as a guest or as a host, you can talk about all your products, Trisha. And each episode that could be 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, they are understanding what you're saying, and then they click on the link to learn more, and it becomes a vicious cycle, and everybody is getting to see the same thing. And what I realized with podcast is, if I listen to a podcast for the first time, most times you would go to the first episode or the most recent episode that you would get the most information about the podcast that you want to connect with. So it's a win-win either way, because somebody gets to learn more about you because of the interest that they have. So that was a really great question, to put it in. And I love that it starts off with a journey. Like Danny said, the better the customer journey, the better the customer experience, and the faster someone gets to remember you. Even if you don't advertise, because you helped them once, they'll remember you when they need that same help again in the future, or somebody else may need that help that they can refer you to because you helped them once upon a time. So it's that retribution that is really important to look into. Does that help, Trisha?
Oh my God, Favor, that helps so much. It was like a light bulb went off in my head when you said get them to go over and watch the video on your website and you have more traction. You have, like 500 views on Instagram and then they all go over to your website and now you have all of that on your website. It was just like boom. Oh my gosh. Uh, Thank you so much for all of that. That was just so clear. I'm so glad I came in the room because I wasn't able to sleep. So I was like, oh, I see Favor. Let me just go there. So thank you. Just thank you so much. It was just so clear. So thank you.
You are welcome. Yeah, I don't do rooms at this time, so I felt like I needed to do something. And, Trisha, you see, it's just very exciting how life is. Who would have known? Who would have thought? And, when you feel something, when you feel a gut feeling that is right, you go for it. And sometimes you just have to trust your gut. And that's what I've been doing. If I didn't do this room, only God knows what would be happening to all of us right now. But we don't know about that because we'll never know. I guess we'll never know, because now we're able to do something and help each other grow by just expanding this knowledge and helping each other know that it's not just about your content. It's just not just about what you post, but where it's going to be and where it's going to live. Because once you post that thing, it's gone. That email, it's gone. But if somebody comes back a year from now that wants to check that link and it's not there and it's gone, that means your effort was in vain, because now your return on effort is negative, because now you can't even access that link that's broken, as opposed to a link that you could have put for a long time, and 2 years from now someone can still find that email and still click on that link and book a call with you because it's accessible, it's clickable, it's findable, it's readable, it's legible. So that's really where the branding comes in, because advertising, you can advertise all day, all night. But if you're not advertising to the right person at the right time, they're not going to buy. Some people purchase items. I've noticed with clients I see, people purchase at 6 a.m., 12 a.m., 5 a.m. You wonder, are you guys sleeping? But people are awake. I read, I just remembered, I sent an email around like 11:11, and they were up because we have about close to 9,000 contacts, and around that 11, I waited for 15 minutes, because it usually takes 15 to 30 minutes to get all the emails sent out within that sequence. I waited and I saw the results. About 1,000 of them, about 1,300 of them clicked on the links 20,000 times. 20,000 times. So I was like, what? 20,000 times, 1,000 people? That means they were really clicking on different things, because I sent a lot of information, and the title of the subject line of the email is, if you got this email, and some people laughed about it. Some people were like, oh, this is really different. Someone even sent me an email and she loved it, because I had a webinar with her last weekend on a Sunday. It was very exciting to see the ripple effect of everything happening last week. I sent an email and I said, here's your Coldplay list of July episodes. And I put a cold ice emoji in the middle, and that opened up. Like right now, I think over 3,000 people have opened that email. And it's a list of about 11, 12 episodes that, people could listen to and replay. And I said, here's your list. Here's your Coldplay list. Because I'm an artist and I also know play on words, double entendres, I'm able to read and I'm able to understand the rhythm and the bars. I'm also a drummer. So I know beats and bars, I know cadences. So when I'm looking at the words and you hear Coldplay, that's two syllables. So when people are reading it, there's a gameplay in between that too. When you're thinking about the words, the alliteration, when people are naming their brands, it makes sense. If you look at all the brands in the world, the top brands, you can name any brand in the world: Tesla, McDonald's, any Gucci, Louis Vuitton, any one that you're looking at. Think about all these big brands that you're hearing. They all have the same fundamental value, which is this: they all have either two, three, and majority of, I'll say a minority of them have four. Three, two, three, four syllables in their brand names. Two, three, four. It could be longer, but in between that two, three, and four syllables, you can fit in all the brands that you know as businesses that can fit into that business bucket. So as a brand, if you want to monetize, your name has to be remembered. There are three things that you have to think about: being seen, being heard, and being remembered. If you're not remembered, no one's going to hear about you. If no one's going to hear about you, they're not going to see it. Seeing is believing, right? You have to have faith too in seeing what you believe in the first place. So there has to be something that has to connect the dots. But it starts off with how you want to portray the dots. Do you see the dots in a line, or do you see them in a cross? Do you see them zigzag? Do you see them haphazard? How do you see those lines that you can actually draw the line for and actually see where that takes you to? So it just starts off with where you want to go and how you want to do it. But it also gives you that expansion to know that if you're going to advertise, then your advertisement starts off with yourself. How do you brand yourself? Where do you brand yourself? And if you brand yourself, who is listening? Because podcasting is one of the best places to do it. If you have a musical playlist, you can use a podcast for that. If you say, okay, I love rock music, I love country music, incorporate that into your branding, because that's how people are going to connect with you. If they like the same music that you like, that's one connection away from connecting with you on a deeper level. If we like to sing or dance salsa to music together, that's great, because now we have a connection. So whatever it is, we like books or we like golf. If anything is going to bring that interest and you can see it, it's a soft skill. It's something that you want to have. Even if you're being hired for a job, they're not just going to hire you because you're a geek or a nerd or you know your stuff or you're an expert. They're going to know, oh, do you have discipline? Do you keep time? Are you friendly? Are you sociable? Are you connecting the dots? Are you a team player? They're going to look at those things too, not just because you have a 4.0 GPA. So you have to look at your holistic thing as, just like there's solid, liquid, and gas, there's body, spirit, and soul. So as a business, you have to think about the lifespan of your business, your mission, your vision, your objectives. Those things, if you don't have a mission or a vision, how do you run the show? How do you connect the dots? Who are you even talking to? Who are you serving? So these are major things to really consider and, look at, so that your business can also grow into something that also gives you more of a long-standing value expansion. So yeah, there's a lot to cover in advertising, but definitely best practices for those who are listening to this right now is make sure you have a grabber. Let me say it like that. Make sure you have a grabber. Grab the attention of your audience fast, because these days people have a very short span of attention. Like quickly, you can talk to them right now and they're gone. So for you to keep them, it means that you have to have something that's keeping them. Just like Facebook, the reason why you stay on Facebook is because they ask you what's on your mind. You always have something on your mind. You know how many thoughts you have on your mind every day? That's why you stay on Facebook every day, because you have a lot of thoughts on your mind to stay on what's on your mind. It's a psychological thing. So when you draw the line and ask yourself, okay, Favour, what do you want to do here? Do you want to do this or do that? The answer you give yourself is the next thing you're going to take. That's the next step you're going to take. Am I going to use my left leg or right leg to walk first? Am I going to put my right leg on or my left leg on first? Am I going to put my right shoe on or my left shoe first? It's a decision at the end of the day, but it's you that's going to make that decision. That's going to take the next step on how that's going to go. So if you're thinking about connecting with people and advertising, don't advertise in 2025 or 2026 and beyond just to make a sale. Make an impact by educating them first. Show them the way. Send them to an article. Send them to a product guide. Send them to a glossary. Send them to a review page. Send them to a website that has a video that explains the topic. Send them somewhere that they can feel like, okay, this makes sense, or the best alternative to the brand that I already know. What about this brand? What do I like? Are they better? You know how you can go to a brand store, go to a grocery store like Publix or Kroger. Let's say you want to get foil paper. Yeah, you get foil paper, but you might just get the Kroger brand. You're trying to get bread. Okay, I'm looking for this bread, but I'm just going to get this Kroger brand or this Publix brand because I just want bread. I don't care about the brand. I just want bread. That's someone's thinking. Someone might say, no, I don't want just bread. I want bread that is multigrain, or I just want bread that is, it's sprouted grain. It's up to you. At the end of the day, it's bread is bread, but it's not really bread is bread because the bread contents are different. So it's how you as a business wants to show up. So I can't tell you how to show up for your business, but what I can definitely tell you is if you show up for your business, show up with care so that you can educate them. So when they now raise their hand to say, I'm interested, or say, I'm connected, or I'm invested, then because you show them the way, they feel like you give them a red carpet. If there's no red carpet, they're not going to walk there. So you have to create the red carpet for them to walk through. And walking through that red carpet decides how fast or how slow they're going to walk. Are you going to take pictures or are you going to run to the event hall? It's up to you. If you're walking down the aisle, are you going to run to the altar? Are you going to walk to the altar? Are you going to slow dance to the altar? Are you going to slide or glide to the altar? It's up to you. You can storm right away. You can have a whole WWE scenery and do that whole Triple H and go crazy. You can go there too. It depends on how you want to walk that stage. Do you want the red carpet? Do you want the aisle? Or do you just want a pathway? So it's really up to you to decide how you want to set that tone, but you have to create that tone for the people. Just like as a business, you have to create the mood. If you have to set the mood, if you have a friend, if you have a spouse, if you have someone that you're connected with, you have to create the mood. That mood is going to determine the next thing. If that mood is off, nothing is happening. If that mood is on, everything could happen. So it's up to you to decide, do you want the lights on or do you want the lights off? So that's really what I want to say to you. And I hope this has really made sense as well to you this evening or this night, because I don't do this late nights, but I feel like it was very important to come here and dive deeper into something that I think would have really helped you. And I think it has as well. Trisha, is anything that you'd like to say? What would you say is your biggest takeaway from the night? And if you guys are also in the chat and you can type, please put in the chat because I'd love to read it too. Trisha, what you thinking?
Oh my God, the biggest takeaway is this whole customer journey. And Danny, thank you for chiming in down there. But the customer journey and getting the people to your website, getting the traction on your website, and getting more emails out to people so you can just continue to build that customer journey. Everything was just fire tonight, Favor. Thank you.
Thank you, Trisha. And thank you, Danny, too, as well. Shout out to you for chiming in as well. And I see you, Doc. I see you, New Creature. Nikit, I see you have a party hat, so welcome to Clubhouse. Linda, I see you as well. And Kyo, thanks for being here. I see some of y'all got the tickets, so please, feel free to connect. Saved by Grace, thank you for being here. Yeah, please join the marketing club. We have amazing rooms here, and we talk about marketing in different capacities, and this is just one of them. I don't do late night rooms much, but I felt like this was something that was important. And because I actually saw this as a topic of interest in my ecosystem, I felt like it was good to come and talk about it now. And the reason why I'm talking about it now is because people are planning for Black Friday, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas sales, plans, deals. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So right now, people are planning 2 to 3 months ahead of time with their objectives, with their offers, with their testing, because they know that if they're able to maximize now, then they're going to have a very perfect Q4. People that, when you play basketball or football, they practice for those quarters, because in those quarters it's either now or never. It's either go hard or go home. So this is definitely the time for you to think about it. If you haven't tried something new for the first time, or when was the last time you tried something new for the first time, if that answer is like this, then we need to solve that problem. But yeah, let me just say it like that. We just need to solve that problem, because it shouldn't be a problem in the first place, because you can get out of a problem if you put your mind to it and get out of the rut and focus on, strength, on growth, because it's like strength training. It's muscle training. It's brain muscle training. So if you're able to really learn how to learn resistance with no's, then it's better. Think about it. If somebody tells you no 300 times and you get one yes, those 300 no's will be worth the one yes that you got, because you've learned how to not say what you said 300 times that got you those 300 no's. But you won't know until you don't try. You have to try to know exactly what you're going to get. So that's definitely a big thing. And I'm so glad that, Trisha, you talked about the customer journey, and that was a big customer takeaway. I can say it like that, because it's more like a way of understanding, okay, I got this now. I have an understanding. I now can take action. And at least I have a direction on the action I'm going to take. Because some people want to take action, but they don't know where to start from. And that's where they stop at. But if you're able to start from somewhere and end up somewhere by forecasting a plan, then it's easy for you to know your direct competitors, your indirect competitors, know the total available search market, know the service available market, and then know the service obtainable market, your TAM, SAM, and SOM. By the time you're able to sing a song, everybody's singing the same song, because we've been singing all along, kumbaya, because we've all been actually on the same campfire enjoying each other's company. But that didn't start without having to have an interest of topics, or an interest of even being in the first place there as an impression. And you're only impressed because you heard the information at first hand. So anything you do, if you're on a flight, if you're in a hotel, if you're in a restaurant, if you're at a event, if you're at a comedy show, it's because you intentionally chose to be there, because you want to intentionally get something out of what you intentionally came for. So it's the same thing, but it's just the intention that's different. But we all have some intentions, and we hope that those intentions are good intentions, because those good intentions can help other people get better at retaining information that they could have received, maybe in a different way, but now they have an opportunity to try it in a new way. And it's up to you to decide on how that goes for you on a daily basis. So this is big, and I'm really happy that we're able to talk about this too. If you're in the room and you learned something new, welcome, Fumi. Thank you for being here. Put a 1 in the chat if you learned something new today, or if something helped you in this room. I just want to see a few ones in the chat. 1 helps me. Like, it's just a number, but to me it means a lot, because it means that you actually took time to put that 1 in the chat. It doesn't cost you even $1. It doesn't cost you $1. It costs you maybe a second. And I really appreciate you that, because feedback is the best currency for any business out there. So thank you, Trisha. Thank you, Cameron. Thank you, boss. These ones are very, very priceless. Thank you, Linda. They may look like a 1 on the chat, but it means a lot to me, because it helps me know that there was something that was taken or listened to, and it was received in good measure. So thank you so much, Nikit. Thanks for sharing input. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome, and thank you for being on Clubhouse this new week and enjoying the room with us here. So I'm going to have more rooms like this, and keep it going too. But definitely I'll be back again with more rooms like this. So until then, thank you, Trisha, Cameron, Danny, Carl, Claire. Thank you for the 1 in the chat. I see you. Appreciate you, boss, Nikit, Linda, Kyo, and boss says, so I'm loving it. Thank you so much. I followed you. I see you're all the way. Is this I don't want to I don't want to say the wrong country, but thank you for being here. I definitely do not want to say it. I hear it in my head, but I don't want to say it, because if it's wrong, I'll be like, I'd rather just not say it. But thank you for being here. Appreciate you so much for being here. And I really, really hope that this will help you as well. For those who need help with SEO, digital marketing services, please click this link above. And thank you, Cameron. I'll definitely connect with you after we get off this call, because yeah, podcasting is the future, and branding is something that if you're able to do digital PR with your podcast and with SEO and with asset acquisition and just learning the ecosystem around you, you can do so well and save so much more money in the future, because you're trying to get to the people that want your brand, not people who are just going to look at it. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of conversations about that. So thank you so much for being here. Have a wonderful night, everyone. For those who are listening, God bless you all. Stay safe, stay hydrated, stay blessed, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now. Now, that was an episode, right? Thank you so much for listening to the We Don't Play podcast show. I'm so glad that you're here and you are sticking tight with us, especially to the very end. Now, this is season 11 and we're going to do it differently. And I want to make sure that every episode you listen to has something to give back, so that you can also learn more after you listen. Now, We Don't Play podcast show is where you listen, you live, you learn, and you earn. So if you're in any of those positions out of those 4, please make sure that you reach out to me. Send out an email through info@playinc.online. That's info@playinc.online. Or you could go to playinc.online, which is a website, www.playinc.online, playinc.online, and schedule a call so that we can get you on an SEO discovery call to talk about your business and help you with your marketing needs. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope this helped you. See you in the next episode. God bless you. Jesus loves you.